Let's go back to our brewery messages now from around the state, wishing everyone a happy Father's Day and celebrating Washington Brewers Festival.
Hey everyone, everyone here from Metier Brewing.
Hey Metier!
All the fathers out there, a happy Father's Day, and we want to say cheers to everyone supporting Washington beer. Cheers.
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 Happy Father's
Happy
Day.
Father's Day.
I need to get out there and get some beer from them.
Hello, it's Kevin and
put
Sophie
some
Smith
money in
from
on
the
their
Brewer
Kickstarter.
Company. We wanted to wish you guys a happy Father's Day. Hope you're all staying safe and continue to support Washington beer. Cheers.
Cheers to Washington beer. Happy Father's Day.
Hi, I'm Cole.
And I'm Sarah, and we're from In the Shadow Brewing in Arlington.
We want to thank you for supporting Washington beer.
And wish you a happy and healthy Father's Day.
Cheers.
Okay.
Hey, this is Scott Holmes from Silver City Brewery. We here at the brewery want to wish all the dads out there a happy Father's Day and thank you for enjoying Washington.
We're making good time, I think.
Wow.
We got 2 more beers to do after this. You haven't seen that van yet? The A-Team van? That's pretty awesome.
And that last video there, Scott Homus from Silver
so
City.
90s
Thanks for the message. And Scott is the treasurer of the Washington Brewers Guild. And that reminds me, this is a good time, one more time, to consider making a donation to the Washington Brewers Guild and support their advocacy and education of Washington State craft brewers, the hard work that they do in Olympia on behalf of Washington State breweries. And there's no way, of course, that we can donate to every single one of our 421 breweries. But that's essentially what you're doing with a small donation to the Washington Brewers Guild. So look for the link in the chat, or maybe it'll pop up here. But we want you to, one more time, consider donating to the Washington Brewers Guild during our Washington Brewers Festival. Scott Holmes does a lot of great work on the treasury side there, keeping the books in order. And thanks again to Pam Berlott of Icicle Brewing, president of the Washington Brewers Guild, and Annie McGrath and her team, especially Tamara, who helps her out immensely, for their great work. Annie McGrath, your executive director of the Washington Brewers Guild. We should buy them all a beer for the work they do. Please make a donation to the Washington Brewers Guild before we wrap up today. The Washington Brewers Festival, as you know, is presented by Flat Stick Pub. And normally Flat Stick is on site with a putting green and all kinds of fun going on. Well, they've recently just been able to open up their shops. Let's take a little tour here around Flat Stick and remind you, as you look at all those tap handles, all they pour is Washington beer. They don't pour beer from Idaho, Oregon, Montana, Colorado, California. It's all Washington beer at Flat Stick Pub. And we greatly appreciate those guys and what they do for Washington State craft beer. And we're missing the party with them at Marymore Park. I'm going to get out one more token and celebrate Flat Stick Pub. We're getting down toward the end of the show, so I brought the big glass out. Thanks to Flat Stick Pub. And I'm going to have a little, what do I got here? The No Lie Big Juicy from No Lie Brewing in Spokane. Let's fill her up and do a little cheers to Flat Stick Pub, our presenting sponsor of the Washington Brewers Festival. And again, sorry that we cannot partner with them, but check out Flat Stick. They recently opened in Spokane, and that site is open. I know the South Lake Union site is open. Kirkland is open. I think Pioneer Square is close to opening, and you can check them out in Tacoma as well.
They're about to open Bellingham.
Cheers to Flat Stick. Let's go back to some more messages from our Washington Brewers before we get to the final round of the keg toss.
Yeah, I don't know if I've had that shandy you're talking about. Maybe I have. Probably I have.
Hey, Washington beer fans, everybody at Iron Goat wants to wish all our fathers happy Father's Day, and hopefully we'll have the chance to
Iron
see
Goat's
you in person soon.
always there every year.
Happy Father's Day from Island Hoppin'. We miss you guys.
Hey everyone, Jason from Postdoc Brewing here.
I think Island Hoppin' is the brewery
all the
that had
fathers
that
out there a happy Father's Day. And we
gin
look forward to
barrel
having you back in our tap room.
Oh yeah.
Earlier.
Well, we have a San Juan Island beer. That's actually the next beer.
However, we had a really fun drink we're going to pour for you. We wanted to share that with you today as we go
good
through,
because I'm running low on this
our
one.
Distance Father's Day Festival. This is what we're going to do. A little bit extra level of excitement here at Fremont Brewing. You got this, you got that. We're not done. You got that, you got this. We got done. Hold on. And we're going to do as our signature umbrella, because today was going to be a special Father's Day. We send this out to you, Washington beer drinker. Happy
Really?
Father's Day.
Yeah. There's a little bit of the like minty medicinal.
I'm not sure I heard what they said.
Matt, down there at Fremont, glad to see that they're back open as of today. And you can see here as we get to the keg toss near the final round, I don't know if you can read that name, but it's Pat Dowd, who was our very first keg toss winner back in 2001. He's with Scuttlebutt Brewing, and I saw that Alan somehow knew that. I think that's Alan Rhodes up in Anacortes who knew that Scuttlebutt Brewing was the winner of the very first ever keg toss. Today will be the day that the 20th winner is announced in the keg toss. This thing is heavy.
All right.
But our 20th winner is going to be determined by you in the next few minutes. We're going to go to our final round of the keg toss. It features Half Lion Brewing from Sumner, Washington, Good Society Brewing from West Seattle, Bale Breaker Brewing from Yakima, or Moxie if you prefer, and Wingman Brewing from Tacoma. One more look at your 4 finalists. Your turn to vote after witnessing these videos, and we'll have a winner in our keg toss.
All right, so he's going to play all the videos again. I'm going to go ahead and mute it. Okay, Malfunct, grab. Let's get that San Juan Island Nitro Stout teed up.
All right, sounds like a plan.
We have 20 minutes to go.
Your 4 finalists are friends from Half Lion in Sumner, Good Society in West Seattle, Bale Breaker in Yakima, and Wingman in Tacoma. This is your final chance to vote. We'll look at some more brewery messages to kind of close out our show, and then we'll come back and announce the winner of the keg toss here at the Washington Brewers Festival virtual event, our 15th year. Let's go back to brewery messages.
All right.
Happy Father's Day from Flying Cock Cooperative Brewery. This cat dad would like to say, okay, sorry little baby. Thanks for supporting Washington Brewers Guild and Washington Beer. See you at Flying Bike.
Hey guys, it's Gabby from Ghostfish Brewery. Thank you for supporting our beers and all Washington State breweries. Happy Father's Day. Cheers!
Thanks for coming out for the virtual Washington Brewers Festival. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, Good Society. I got to get over there because they're out in West Seattle and they're
Happy Father's Day
they're
from
brand
Tap
new.
Room Brewing here in Lacey, Washington. Thank you all so much for the support for Washington craft beer over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge to get to
cannot
West
thank you
Seattle
all
right now.
enough. So enjoy the
A little
weekend,
bit.
dads. Happy Father's Day.
Hey y'all, Bill with Culture Brewing Company. Just want to say happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, and to thank you for supporting Washington craft beer. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and stay thirsty.
Happy Father's Day from all of us here at Two Beers Brewing, and thank you for supporting Washington Beer. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
I like this, man. This Nitro Stout.
Yeah,
nice
not
and
bad at all.
roasty.
Happy Father's Day! Thanks for supporting Washington Beer!
Cheers. Sorry we can't be at
I wouldn't mind getting down to 2 beers again sometime. They have a nice place.
Yeah.
We hope you're well. We hope you're safe. Enjoy your family and friends as far as you can. Stop in, come pick up a growler, visit your local breweries.
Happy Father's Day, Pop. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, guys.
Happy Father's Day from all of us at Bainbridge Brewing. Thank you for your continued support.
Happy birthday to all the dads out there. Oh, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
You deserve a beer.
We wish that we could be at Miramar Park this year. However, we still want to thank you for supporting Washington.
Where's
Brewers.
Dubtown?
From all of us at Dubtown, just want to say
Happy Father's Day and cheers!
I don't know, but that looks like a fun place.
Caesar, our neighbor from Snohomish, Frank Sandoval from Snowtown Brewery. We want to wish.
Uh-oh.
Happy
Happy
Father's Day.
Some lag there. Not our fault.
And thanks again to all of our breweries participating in this virtual Father's Day
main guy is
festival.
probably
I mean,
streaming
we're
this whole
totally
thing
winging
from,
it here,
under
and
our
we
laptop.
appreciate the folks that signed up and RSVP'd and joined us in the fun of this first, and I'm going to say, hopefully last, virtual Washington Brewers Festival. We don't want to do it virtually again. We would love to see you at Merrymore Park. It's time to announce our winner for the keg toss. They will get to keep this super heavy trophy with 20 names on it for the next year until we do it all again. Congratulations to Wingman Brewers. Your winner of the keg toss in our virtual keg toss. Wingman, a great job. Good fight by Bailbreaker. They come in second. Good Society and Half Lion, your other finalists. But Wingman Brewers are your champions of the keg toss. Well, I think we've done what we could do virtually here. Thanks again to all of our friends, Heart by Heart and Woodshop Barbecue. Thank you, Matt. And thank you to all of the production folks and the people that helped to put this all together. Special thank you to all the breweries that participated in our virtual festival. We want to, of course, raise a glass right now and wish everyone a happy Father's Day. Cheers to all you dads out there, and be sure to share a beer with your dad as we move into this afternoon. Thank you for supporting Washington Beer and the Washington Brewers Guild as well with your donations today. They do so much great work. Thanks to Pam and Annie again at the Washington Brewers Guild. It's been a fun day. We've enjoyed doing this with you. Cheers to everyone. I promise you, one way or another, we will see you at Merrymore Park in June of 2021. Cheers. That concludes our Washington Brewers virtual festival for 2020.
Boy, they got it done early.
Well, I think maybe we'll have music to kind of close things out. We'll see what happens here. Or maybe it's just done. I don't know. I guess it's just done.
Wait, did they...
That's it. Okay. Well, he finished 12 minutes early. And we still have another beer to get through. Not to get through, but at least to try. So I guess now's a good time for us to kind of go through just a recap of all the beers that we had. So the first beer was the Chuckanut Bohemian Pilsner, just as a nice, really light lager to kind of start things off. And to represent Bellingham, of course. Second beer was Narrows Brewing Peanut Butter Cookie Blonde Ale. And again, we just wanted to try to cover a wide array of styles. And then we decided to say, hey, Tacoma needs to be represented, so Narrows, there you go. That's why we picked that beer. Third was the Fremont. Thank you. The Fremont Coconut IPA, the Day Flying Coconut IPA. That was Malfunct's pick, and Malfunct's picked. I was really okay with that because I'm not a big IPA fan, I have to admit. And the coconut adds just another dimension to that beer that makes it way more enjoyable for me, as not being a super hoppy beer fan.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's not super hoppy at all.
It's not crazy hoppy, which I appreciate very much. And then the fourth beer was our Yakima representation. That is the Single Hill Johnson Cherry Wine Barrel Aged Cherry Sour, which, as Malfunct pointed out, was more like a fruit beer because it wasn't super sour, but that's okay. I like cherry. I kind of picked this beer over... It was this and an apricot, and I went for the cherry just because that's my preference. So maybe the apricot one is better in terms of being a better sour beer, but I don't know. T said it was medicinal. Malfunct, what do you think?
I guess you could... Cherry always has a little bit of a medicinal flavor, but I didn't think so. I thought it was pretty much just a cherry fruit blonde.
Yeah. It was also, like you said, like there was not much... There's not a lot of tartness to it.
Yeah, it was really drinkable, though.
I just tried it again here. I guess, I don't know, I don't get medicinal so much, but it's also like, it's not in your face cherry or tart or anything, and if you're expecting something like a Creek, you're not going to get that with this beer.
No, not at all. I would say any cherry beer runs a little bit of a risk of having that sort of cough syrup background flavor.
I don't really get that with this beer, though.
No, I didn't either, but I could see how it would evoke those flavors to you.
And then, so our fifth beer is the San Juan Island Brewing Nitro Stout, and it is a English style oatmeal stout. And I think this is really good. It's very roasty.
It's super smooth.
Really smooth, and I like this one quite a bit. And how often do we get to say, hey, there's a beer from San Juan Islands, you know, and at a festival, if I had seen San Juan Island as one of the choices there, I would have said, hey, I'm going to definitely try their beer, because I don't know if I would have much of an opportunity outside of the fest to really have their stuff. But thankfully, we found this.
Especially if they were pouring a nitro stout, you would have gone there.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, yeah, so Malfunct and I are big dark beer fans. I would say, I don't know, I can't speak for Malfunct, but it's my favorite style of beer. I love stouts, porters, barley wines, just dark, super dark, heavy beers. And this one has really nice roast.
Yeah, this one's really well done.
It's just really, yeah, like Malfunct said, very smooth. Just really easy drinking, actually, for being... It's not actually crazy. It's 5.8%, so not super huge or anything like that.
Something that people always think about dark beers that isn't true necessarily is that they're really heavy, but this is actually a very light beer.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a heavy body, it's not a heavy flavor, there's some roastiness there. It's kind of like drinking your morning coffee.
Yeah, it does have it's smooth, though. It doesn't have a harsh bitterness to it. Which, if it did,
well,
I don't know if I would enjoy it as much.
Morning coffee harsh and bitter? Because you should probably change your process if it is.
Well, when I think of coffee, I'm thinking of coffee stouts, and a lot of those are harsh and bitter to me. So that's where I'm coming from.
Well, coffee stouts tend to over-extract the coffee, and that's just a mistake. In fact, that's just a mistake with coffee in general. If you over-extract your grounds, you're going to get acidic, bad, bitter, terrible flavors. So just don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard for me to find a really good coffee stout that's not crazy overly bitter with the coffee angle, and it's just like really well balanced with good roast. They're out there. I mean, there's good beers like High Westified and even like the Coffee Dark Star after about a year.
It's High Westified. No, High Westified. I know what you're talking about. Surly has a really good coffee beer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they actually invented a special device for injecting coffee into the beer. I think in the bright tanks. I don't know exactly where it happened, but they actually have a patent for their brewing process for their coffee beer.
Okay.
And the nice thing with that is, since they're injecting perfectly brewed coffee into the beer late in the process, you have no problem with the over extraction.
Okay, I'd have to try that, because you know me, I'm not.
The last time I had it was like 6 years ago, but it tastes like morning coffee. Their coffee beer.
Well, I was gonna say, like, also Coffee Cinnamon Bee Bomb. Like, after about 6 months to a year, the coffee bitterness backs off, and then you get a really nice mix of that, kind of like that chocolate coffee bitterness with the cinnamon, and then of course Bee Bomb as the backbone, and that's a really delicious beer. And we would have probably been drinking some variation of Coffee Cinnamon Bee Bomb at the fest if we could have attended this year. And I'm sure they would have had the new Rusty Nail too. We would have been in line for that. I mean, we would have just been on top of it like we are every year.
And they would have had their classic Bee Bomb and one of the Dark Stars, and
hell, maybe even B4K would have shown up.
Oh, it's possible. They might have had one keg of that there. Boy, that line would have been long.
So, Malfunct, what overall, what is your thought of the virtual style they did this year? What do you think?
So I think I've attended 3 virtual beer festivals this year. WABL has done the best one.
Wow.
Because they spent more time talking about the beer, and it wasn't like a frat party online. The other company that's done the 2 virtual beer festivals I've been to wants to make it more of a party atmosphere, and I'm just not into that. I want to hear about beer, sit down with friends and drink it.
So,
so
what's their setup like? Is it a room full of bros and they're all just drinking together? Like, what's the...
No, it's like high energy brewery advertisements and some just a couple of hosts, but they don't seem to be hosts that are super involved with beer, but more hosts that are super involved with marketing and sort of party scene type feel. And they just tried to do wacky things in their videos, and I didn't like any of the wackiness.
Yeah, I
so
guess
this one was nice that we had a guy who was the face of WABL. He's been the announcer for every WABL Beer Fest I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Really knows all of the brewers, the breweries, and the keg toss was a good thing that brought back bits from the actual festival, so that was good. And then all of the brewery cuts were actually just people saying, "Hey, thanks for drinking our beer," which I thought was better than the let's try to be wacky with loud music sort of beer advertisements from the other festivals.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the announcer guy, maybe the first or the first 2 or so beer fests I went to, I was like, this guy's kind of annoying. I don't know if I like him. And then by the 3rd one, I was like, this guy's great. It's like it wouldn't be the same without him, you know, the announcer guy.
Yeah. When he's no longer announcing, it'll be weird.
Yeah. And now I love the guy.
Face.
Yeah. And so it's funny how that works. And like, you know, without him announcing, you're right, it would not feel the same at all.
But maybe his son will pick it up, and his son has a similar style, so.
Hope so. But I mean, this guy, I mean, he doesn't seem like he's going to quit anytime soon. So I think we have many more years with this guy. So
I'm surprised he's not a radio host somewhere.
Yeah.
Like if I were to go to an event like this in Montana and a guy like him were the announcer at it, he would totally be one of the local radio hosts that was doing the announcing. So I don't know if he is or not, but it would be surprising if he wasn't based on my background. All right, I think it's time to crack that last beer.
Yeah. We just we're finishing up the San Juan Nitro Stout here.
Yeah.
But you can go ahead and crack
I think
it.
The reason why I'm going through them faster is I am not drinking more than the 4-ounce pour of any of them.
Oh, okay.
If you're finishing every can, that's going to take you longer.
Well, we're sharing too, though, so.
All right, I will be back in a minute.
Cool. Cheers, everybody. I hope that was fun. Thanks for watching. We're going to hang out just a little while longer to go over the last beer because it's a pretty interesting one. It's from Trapdoor down in Vancouver. And so far, I've been a pretty big fan of their brewery. Everything they've been making has been pretty amazing. So we ended up picking a bourbon barrel-aged quad, Belgian quad. So again, like we're trying to have a wide array of styles, and Belgian quad was definitely... You might see 1 or 2 of those styles pop up at the beer fest, and I always like go out of my way to try that because I want to try like the crazy styles, the different stuff. Like that's why we picked that peanut butter blonde ale. Just like who's doing interesting stuff and not just making another like triple IPA or a bourbon barrel aged stout. Like who's trying to kind of get outside the box, you know. And so we did a Trapdoor. Like I said, I've had some barrel aged beer from Trapdoor in the past, and I've been very impressed by it. So I thought this would be a nice one to kind of round out the fest with, you know, because Malfunct and I would have been drinking lots of barrel aged beers throughout the day. So unfortunately, you know, starting at 11 a.m., if you're cracking into the barrel aged beer already, it's going to be a short day. So I try to make it reasonable.
Yeah, and at the beer festival, I don't drink at nearly this rate.
Totally.
Because we have, 8 or so hours at every day. So I might do 10 tastings over the full day, especially on the last day.
And here's another thing we were talking about earlier, Malfunct. Like, what do you think was an hour and a half the right length for this, for like the virtual fest? Although not an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes.
So I think because of the nature of the virtual fest, they would need to put in a lot more dead time filler to make it last longer. So I understand why it's there. I actually think if they had done it right, they could have stretched it out to 3 or 4 hours and still made it good by having some good filler in there.
Well, they could have had more bands. They only had one band. Most times it's like you have 1 or 2 bands every day at least. Like, I mean, I think Saturday and Sunday there's like 3 or 4 bands those days, right?
I think there's on Saturday and Sunday each day there's 4 bands.
4 bands, yeah. So they could have had at least another band in there.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the band that they had today did 3 songs and that was it, or maybe 2. I don't know, but anyway, the music side of it seemed really short versus kind of the rest of it. Which, again, like, is it the right length? I mean, because right now it's 12:30 our time. I mean, if you're doing your Father's Day thing, you just finished that beer fest and you're like, cool, I'm gonna go out and grill, or like my family is gonna take me to dinner later, so it's like I'm free for the afternoon to spend time with my family. I mean, maybe that was their thought, to be like, we got to finish, by 12:30 and just be in and out of there. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of interesting.
It might have been better for the format they had to start it at like 4 in the afternoon and extend into early evening. I think that would have been a better time slot, but what do I know?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they must have been worried that Father's Day, like most fathers would be like, well, I'm out with my family now, so I can't watch the WABL thing. But it's like, then again, if
I think a lot of those Father's Day go out with your dad things happen in that morning time from like 11 to 4.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it depends on, the family or whatever, and I don't know.
I don't know. Unless you're dedicating your Father's Day to the beer fest, there isn't a good day or a good time on Father's Day to have something like this.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I mean, like the announcer being there, the keg toss thing, it was just a little slice of the fest for us. I mean, we do so much there. It's like we're hanging out. We have our little, we stake off our little plot of like the land in the festival. It's always like, we always kind of like sit in the same place, and we have our chairs set up, and we have this big group of people, and it's super fun. And sometimes we even play cube and stuff. So, I mean, obviously none of that happened this year, but I feel like, it did feel good to have the same announcer guy up there and kind of the keg toss thing.
That's the thing that they did best, was make it feel like the WABL Beer Fest.
Yeah.
It was cut down in almost every way, but it still had that core WABL Beer Festness to it. I think something that would have been cool, although it's probably hard to do logistically, would be to send out, charge more for the fest, of course, but send out a box of beers that are the festival beers.
That would have been cool. And we made our own box, so it worked out. But yes, I agree with you. Yeah. I would have preferred that they had sort of said, okay, well, we'll put something together, and it's like we're all drinking those beers together, like not just you and I, but like everybody who's tuning in. It's like, because they had a couple hundred people, it seems like, so everybody could have had the
100 people is a super low turnout.
I mean, I'm just pulling that number out because I mean, so I will say that this platform they had, I forget the name of it already. I can find out real quick. Where's my
they would have
link?
Done better to throw it on a less closed platform.
There we go. Yeah. So the platform is Demio. I don't know. And it didn't have like, first of all, it didn't have any volume control over the video playback, which is ridiculous. I mean, at this day and age, you've got to have volume control, in your video playback of any kind. I don't care if it's Zoom or it's YouTube or whatever. Volume control is essential. They had nothing for that, and then there was a lot of like kind of like clutter in the UI and everything, and there was like a lot of stuff kind of moving around UI wise, and so that could be better. I think, you know, for WABL and the Brewers Guild and stuff, they're definitely like, you know, here they are, they're trying to track like engagement. They want your email address. They want to sort of like capture that aspect of it. I totally get that, but at the same time, it's like, you know, make it user friendly. You know, like let us control the volume. Let us, yeah. I mean, just make it easy to use for us. So it's not like I had to basically like mute. I had to mute the tab in Chrome to stop, you know, the music sections, and it's like I couldn't just lower the volume as we were going along. You know, I had to mute the whole tab. So anyway, it wasn't super convenient there. But otherwise, like, I mean, the voting features were cool, and the chat room, we didn't really pay attention to that, but that's nice to have too.
Yeah. I did pay attention to the chat room a little bit, but there were enough people in it that there were no conversations. It was just sort of the random outbursts.
Yeah, and I think I thought I had saw in the chat room, that was the number I saw. There was like a couple hundred people in there. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's not accurate. I don't want to say that was the turnout, but I'm sure they have their own metrics to look at, and they could say, oh, okay, well, you know, this is what it was and what have you, but interesting.
Although I am absolutely certain that the turnout was much less than normal. The actual beer festival has like 1,000 people a day or more.
Oh yeah, easy. Totally. They have like several thousand per day, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know how to count people, but they fill up that corner of Marymore Park every year.
Oh yeah. So cheers to everybody for watching, and then I'm going to link in the description Malfunct's Twitch channel. Go follow Malfunct and go watch his streams every Monday. And for more beer events, we'll make some plans. We'll see what happens. But this is really fun, and I want to do more stuff like this. So,
all right, sounds good.
Cheers.
Have a great afternoon, everyone. And again, happy Father's Day.
Thank you, Malfunct. Cheers, brother.